Well, Scott, great to see you. Thanks for your time. And, look as if you changed a bit.
Oh, I think my wife would disagree with you there, but no, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it, actually. It's certainly a fond part of my cricketing journey was those years at Essex. So good to look back on them. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. We've been running a series of matches while we're in lockdown here, trawling through the archives. But one match that kept jumping out of the archive was a game against Surrey, 25th of June 2010, your first year at Essex. And, you really set Chelmsford alight that night. I don't know whether you still remember it, but you certainly led us to success. It was a fantastic innings. You scored 100. Do you recall that? Is that firmly entrenched in your mind?
Well, if I'm completely honest, my memory with a lot of my cricket is pretty poor. So when I started receiving a whole heap of notifications in my Twitter inbox about the innings, I thought something was up. So I saw the campaign or the cricket that you were running, and I must confess, I went back and I watched the last, I don't know, whatever it was, 5 or 6 overs just to refresh my memory a little bit. But some guys can recall absolutely everything in their careers. For some reason, I'm dreadful. But there's no way I'll forget the 100, of course. It was my first in T20. And to do it when we were chasing, the opposition in Surrey had some big names as well. So it was certainly a night to remember for me personally. And the dressing room afterwards was amazing too, when the guys, quite rightly were celebrating a good victory.
Yeah, just without going into everything, because the match by match, the game is up on there. But it came down to, we were really up against it, Essex. But you and Tim Phillips got 54 in 3 overs between the 16th and 18th overs, which rather took the initiative away from Surrey. Still left us plenty of runs required. We still needed 39 off of 3 overs. That's after you'd taken 27 off of Chris Tremlett. You took a few more, you and Timmy, 14 off of Andrew Symonds. And then Tremlett, I should imagine rather nervously, was left to bowl the penultimate over. But all credit to him, he only conceded 3, I think, and took the wicket, crucially, so it would have appeared, of Tim Phillips off the last ball. So 22 required from the last over, and you're facing Andrew Symonds. Is that sort of coming back a little bit now into the memory?
Yeah, it is, of course. What I do remember is there's a little bit of conjecture when I rewatched it from the commentators around why Tim Phillips was sent in. He was more than handy. He was a talented cricketer, was Tim, but he was in front of a couple of guys who you would probably have suggested would be up batting order a little higher. But because there was that short side of the ground, the right-left-handed combination was important. I think he picked up a couple of those boundaries, a few of those boundaries through that short boundary. And it was a smart move, I thought, from Paul Grayson in the end. And you're quite right, that partnership took us from where we seemed to be behind. We were always behind in the run chase. Yeah. But because Chelmsford is a small ground, because there was a small boundary, you couldn't panic too much. You knew that if you got that one good over, which we did off Tremlett, then the momentum can roll on. And the other thing about that too was Andrew Symonds was he captain or Rory Hamilton-Brown's captain? Or, they spent their money, if you like.
Yeah.
They spent their money in the sense that they brought their big gun bowlers back, and we knew that there were a couple of bowlers, namely Symonds, who'd had to get through a couple of overs. And on a good pitch, small boundary, you had to back yourself to get more than 15 plus runs and over if we were to win. So I thought the run chase from Tim and myself and Ravi before that was quite a smart run chase in some ways too.
Yeah. That final over, you got a 4, first of all, down to fine leg. A lot of, as inevitable when it comes down to that last over, the poor bowler's getting advice from every quarter, I think. But somebody like Andrew Symonds was so experienced anyway. He would have known what he wanted to do. And it was just a matter of putting the ball in the right place. But, of course, a bowler like that has to contend with a wily campaigner at the opposite end holding the bat, and you outpointed him. The first one, as I say, first delivery went to fine leg for force, but you exceeded that. The next one went high over mid-wicket. I mean, at that, what's going through your mind at that stage as a batsman, Scott?
Well, yeah, you've got to be a little bit smarter than that. I always think when you're batting, what you're looking to do is reduce the number of options that the bowler has. So, and I'll be straight up, Andrew Symonds completely surprised me with that first delivery with a short ball. It's something you didn't expect from a guy who's bowling, 120 kilometres an hour or 70, whatever it is, miles per hour in the UK. I was expecting everything on the front foot. So I'm setting up for the different lines that he bowls. If he bowls a slow ball, where am I looking to hit it? So the bouncer wasn't part of my thinking from Andrew Symonds, but so he did take me by surprise, and we got lucky on that first ball. But when you do hit one of those variations, and for someone like Symonds, the short ball's a variation, it means that it's now no longer part of what you know that he's not going to bowl that again. So I can go back to my original plan and say, right, well, I know it's going to be on the front foot. The only thing I need to be wary of is the off-cutter slow ball that he has bowled and does bowl. So you're reducing your options, because as a batsman, you're looking for predictability. You're looking to, if you know what the bowler's going to bowl, then half the job is done. So with someone like Symonds or any bowler, it's about reducing it down. And that was the pleasing part about that first ball, is all of a sudden I've taken away one of those options that he can bowl at me. And then, you need a lot of luck. Let's be honest, when you're needing 22 runs off any bowler's over, just a dot ball puts you pressure right back on yourself. So I knew, as I always do, stand still and try and put a good swing on the bat. I do that. The power is not going to be a problem, but it's making sure that I don't try and hit the ball from Chelmsford right back up to Durham or something. You just have to get it over the line. So there's a whole process going on in your brain about how you're looking to attack any sort of bowler, whether it's a part-timer like Symonds or someone like Tremlett. You're trying to work out your options to the different types of deliveries that bowler bowls.
Yeah. Taking a couple of boundaries, including that maximum blow, you had a bit of a breather. The third ball just took a couple, calmed everybody's nerves, I think, and everybody took a deep breath. No doubt you were taking it a bit deeper than most people, weren't you? At that stage, of course, you've now got your eyes on 100 as well. So does that add a bit of pressure? I mean, obviously, those are the two targets: get Essex home, but also get your maiden T20 100, which is some achievement, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that was from a personal perspective, of course, a proud moment, because it was my first T20 100. But I'd be really surprised if you're getting to the last over a game and you're 12 or 14 runs away from winning the game after those first couple of deliveries, and people are worried about their 100. The finish line is in sight. You've worked hard to get to that point. It's now about finishing it off and making sure that you don't sit there in the dressing room afterwards and think, what if? At the end of the day, that was always my job in a T20 innings, was to be a little bit of a finisher, make sure you're there at the end and pick the stump out of the ground and walk off, hopefully with a victory. So, yes, the 100 was there, and obviously incredibly pleasing to get to that milestone. But even then, there was still work to be done. And, it was in my mind to say, well, it means nothing if you're walking off with 100, but you sky out the next delivery and we don't get up for the win.
Yeah, well, that 100 got it in some style with yet another boundary, just 49 balls. But then it is a little bit of tension. But we're now right within just a few runs of passing that Surrey total. We've got 2 balls left. You completed the winning style with a 6. Incredible. I think just stepped back and carved it over long off, didn't you? Was that a predetermined stroke?
Yeah. Look, T20, people may be surprised to know, is probably the most strategic and tactical version of the 3 games, the 3 varieties of cricket that we have. And you're evaluating it every moment. It's not just simply stand there and deliver and good things may come. I mean, there are times where that may well be the case, but in reality, you have to pick and choose when you go. You go through the gears, up and down the gears, depending on the pitch, the bowler that you're facing, what they're looking to do. And I've already explained a little bit about what you're looking for from someone like Symonds. But then also after 4 or 5 deliveries of that over, whatever it was, you've worked out too what Andrew Symonds is trying to do. Now, there was that big side of the ground. The big boundary to me is a right-hander, and he was looking to bowl everything in at Midland leg stump, even slightly outside leg stump, because he wanted me to hit it to the big part of the ground. That's where all the protection was with the field. And so I sort of knew that. I'd worked that out, that that's what he was looking to do, is to spear it in there. So by just jumping away to the leg side, I was hoping that I could free my arms and utilise that small boundary. So, it is a battle of trying to work each other out, and then it's about executing who can execute their skills better. So the pleasing part from that was it seemed to all come together in that last over in particular, with what he was trying to do and then me being able to counter it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was brilliant. I mean, it was a tremendous performance in front of that Chelmsford crowd, who are always so passionate anyway. And I think, they've often, Ronnie Irani always used to say that when they were behind the players, it was like having a 12th man, but you lifted everybody that day. Looking at the footage, I didn't actually see Andrew Symonds walk down the wicket and say, "Well played, mate." Probably you would have been more surprised if you had have done, wouldn't you?
I would, yeah. We were teammates at the Chicken Chargers around that time as well, and it's fair to say we'd had many running battles over our Australian days. Therefore, I don't know how you say it nicely, getting one over him was as pleasing as the 100, I must confess. I don't think I'll ever get a well played out of Andrew Symonds. He and I used to have some ding-dong battles at each other as much as the cricket as well. So, yeah, I must confess it was a pleasing moment that he was the bowler at the end there.